Hi everybody, this is Carol Sherwood. Happy New Year and welcome to Stephen Avery, The Devil is in the Details podcast. In this segment, what we are going to cover is the two questions that I get asked all the time when I talk about there being two RAVs. It's why is the very first question. Why would there be two RAVs? What would be the purpose of having two RAVs? And the other, and I've spoken with several podcasters who do Avery podcast, and they will tell me, I have such a hard time wrapping my mind around how many people would this take to pull this off. So let me kind of give you my take on both of these. The first one is to answer the question, why? I don't have much trouble addressing why there would be a second RAV. I don't know that it was planned to have a second RAV, or it could very well have been planned to have a second RAV. All right. The reason behind it is DNA control. Period. Think about this case. The DNA and blood from Stephen Avery and Teresa Halbach are found in the car, on the car, and the car is found on Avery salvage property. All right, so we know that's what convicted him. DNA got him out, DNA put him away. Here's the thing, is that if something happened to Teresa's car when she left that property, we believe, my co-researcher and I believe, Teresa Halbach very well left that property. And I will go over that in other episodes as to why I go back to she left that property. Okay? But if she left that property and someone intercepted her or something happened after she left that property, let's say that she was run off the road. There have been people who said that they saw a small dark colored SUV parked on the side of the road away from Avery property with a bullet hole in the windshield. Let's say that Teresa was accidentally shot by a rogue hunter. I don't know. All I'm saying is if something happened to her vehicle when she left that property, whether it was intentional or unintentional, and there was too much damage to that property to fit with the narrative that she never left the property, because if she didn't leave the property, how would her car get that much damage? Let's say that the car was run off the road and it's smashed up pretty big, okay? If that's the case, it'd be kind of hard to explain that, to say that her car never left the property. How would it get that much damage? So that's one of them. If the car was intercepted, let's say Teresa was murdered by whomever off the property, and to wipe out DNA evidence, then they burned the vehicle with her in it. It's just another possibility. So there are reasons why you could need or would need another car if the way that you're going to choose to framing is to put the car on the property, which was what was chosen to do. Okay, so that lets you know a reason why. The DNA control is hands down the biggest reason why, because the narrow focus in this case is DNA from Stephen, blood from Stephen, DNA from Teresa, blood from Teresa on this vehicle. That's it. DNA. Why won't they give the car to Kathleen? It would be logical that there would be other DNA in the car. Teresa has friends ride in your car. So it's logical that there would be other DNA in the car. In this case, there's no other DNA presented from that vehicle except for those two people, which is a little strange to begin with. But DNA control is what I personally believe in the reasoning behind having a second vehicle. Okay, so that tells you the why. That gives you the why. Now we'll go to the other question is, I have such a hard time wrapping my mind around the number of people that it would take to pull this off, to get everything in place and do this and do that and plant the car and all this stuff. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. But to talk about that, we're going to go back to 1985 to the first case that Stephen is convicted of that we now know he didn't do. We've known it since 2003 when he got released with DNA proving he was not the perpetrator in the Penny Bernston rape and attempted murder. It was not Stephen Avery. It was Gregory Allen, and they did prove that many years later through DNA. There wasn't one speck of evidence that pointed to Stephen Avery. The only thing that pointed to Stephen Avery that had any resemblance whatsoever to Gregory Allen is that they were both dirty dishwater, blonde hair, shaggy looking guys. Stephen's 5'7", Gregory Allen is 6 foot. There's a huge difference in height. Penny Bernston gave a description of her attacker. She did give the description that the man was tall. It did not fit Stephen Avery. And if you'll go back and look at the police reports when they booked him as 5'11". Something's fishy there. All right? They've already done this before. The people that did this to Stephen Avery this time are associated. Some of them are the very same people that did it in 1985. Go back and look at the case. They only showed Stephen in a lineup of possible perpetrators. They looked nothing like Gregory Allen, who they knew had committed this crime, or if they didn't know, they were pretty darn sure that that Gregory had done it. He was under surveillance daily. They knew he was a rapist. That blows my mind to begin with, that he's under surveillance, a known rapist. Get that? Okay. Known rapist, under surveillance, running around free. That's bizarre to begin with. But if they're trying to catch him to put him away forever, he commits this crime. Here's a little caveat that's a little strange, little tidbit that you need to know. The very day that Penny Bernston was attacked was the one day in a period of hours that Gregory Allen was not being surveyed. Because every cop in the county, whoever they all were, however many there were all at the scene of an accident. All of them just so happened to be at the scene of an accident when Gregory Allen abducts, rapes, attempts to murder, beats the ever-loving life out of Penny Bernston back in the woods off of the beach. Okay? Still don't believe it? You still think that, oh, that's not like this. Oh, how could it take that many people to keep... How many people did it take to keep that secret for all those years? It took... The only thing that released Stephen Avery after 18 years of prison in the Penny Bernston case was DNA. It wasn't because somebody came forward and says, oh, I thought I saw something else. There have been people that have come forward. Let me tell you something that's really odd in that case that you need to be fully aware of in that case. When you want to talk about how many people it took to keep that a secret for all those years, how many witnesses were in the case that came forward? Stephen's family and other people came forward and vouched for Stephen. And they told witnesses they knew where Stephen Avery was during that time. There were over, if I'm not mistaken, there were more than 14 or 15 people that came forward that vouched for him and knew where he was at every moment during when all of that was taking place. And yet, a photo lineup with only Stephen being shown in it, not Gregory Allen. He was never shown to Penny Bernston in a lineup. He was never shown a photo of him to Penny Bernston when she was in the hospital. Nothing was. There was a photograph that Gene I think his name was Cush, Gene Cush, was so proud of that he sketched of Stephen Avery, which is interesting because there's a whole story behind that of how oddly identical the sketch that Gene provided was of a photograph of Stephen Avery. And that's what he used and said that was what he made a sketch of. There are plenty of people who don't believe that. They don't believe it. They believe he literally traced the photo. But either way it goes, let's leave that out. Let's just talk about what she was shown. She was shown a picture of Stephen Avery, shaggy, dishwater blonde hair, facial hair, and then she's not shown a picture of Gregory Allen. Lineup comes around. Stephen, you can go see the lineup. See the lineup that she was shown. Stephen Avery's the only one in that lineup. How many people did it take shaggy blonde hair in that case to keep it a secret for all those years until DNA freed him? There wasn't one speck of DNA evidence linking Stephen Avery to the Penny Berenstain case. There wasn't one eyewitness outside of Penny who was duped that could put Stephen Avery anywhere near that beach at that time. He was not anywhere near. So then you want to come forward on this case and say that it's so hard to put your mind around the fact that it would take so many people. How many people did it take then? I don't know. We don't really know, but all we do know is the $36 million lawsuit that he had filed in October of 2004 because of wrongful conviction back then. What we do know is there were plenty of people that were involved in that. They all kept their mouths shut. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they all kept their mouth shut for years. And they would have never, ever, ever been found out if it weren't for DNA. DNA freed him in that case, and DNA put him away in this case. And I've got a lot more to tell you about it, but that's why I wanted to answer the why would there be a need for a second RAV? And then how can you put your mind around thinking that many people, however many that is, it could be 2, it could be 20. I have no idea. But how that many people could keep this quiet for this long. It's already happened once, folks. At least once. Thanks for tuning in to Stephen Avery, The Devil's in the Details, Episode 1.